A lot of rappers talk about the streets, but today we're breaking down all of the artists in the game who are really about that life. French Montana doesn't rap about the Bloods, but he definitely has ties to them. During YNW Melly's murder trial, a detective named Danny Polo told the court that Melly was texting dudes from the G-Shine Bloods. Danny Polo was trying to prove that YNW Melly was affiliated with the Bloods, but Danny Polo said he wasn't sure if French Montana was with the gang or not. Melly isn't the only alleged Blood that Montana has ties to though. Back in 2012, French Montana's homies, Willie Don and Jamil Wilkes, were booked for allegedly calling the shots in a huge blood set in Connecticut. They were also affiliated with a gang called the Cleanup Crew, and Montana had a track with them in 2010 called Addicted to Money. The cops could never prove that Montana was actually repping the Bloods, but his gang ties allegedly got him shot in the head back in 2003. French Montana was leaving a studio in the Bronx when two dudes popped out and tried to rob him. Montana started fighting back, so one of the dudes upped his strap and shot Montana in the head. Montana was fighting the dude who shot him, and then the other guy tried to shoot Montana too, but he ended up killing his own homie instead. The craziest part is that Montana later admitted that it was one of his own homies that set him up. The dudes who tried to rob him knew exactly when he was leaving the studio because someone in his crew told him his location. So after that, Montana had to change how he was moving and pay attention to who he let in his circle. That wasn't the last time someone tried to take out French Montana though. In 2013, he had a show in Philly and someone shot up a crowd around his tour bus. Nobody knows who pulled the trigger, but rumors say it has something to do with French Montana's street ties. Young Thug is allegedly one of the biggest Blood rappers in the game. Thug grew up in the Jonesboro South Projects on Cleveland Avenue in Zone 3, one of the most dangerous hoods in Atlanta. Thug started going to jail in the 6th grade and was originally affiliated with a Blood set called Raised on Cleveland. Young Thug has rapped about his Blood ties ever since he hopped in the booth, like on the track Forever Bloody when he rapped, "If it's a problem, you know I put my little homies on it, and if it's politics involved, I put big homie on it. We got them flags held high, we don't need no opponents, cause I'm forever bloody, swear I'm forever bloody." During Thug's trial, the prosecutors even used his lyrics as evidence that YSL is a gang, like on the track Anybody when Thug rapped, "I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with that body. I got the streets on my back, carry it like I'm moving the body. I told him to shoot 100 rounds, like you trying to movie the body." The cops have been trying to prove that Thug and YSL are all affiliated with the Bloods, but back in 2015, Young Thug told the cops that he only raps about the Bloods for entertainment. Back then, Young Thug was getting questioned after he allegedly sent some shooters at Lil Wayne and got his tour bus shot up, and the cops said that Wayne, Birdman, and Young Thug were all Bloods. Thug said he was just rapping about gangbanging for entertainment, but the cops obviously weren't buying the story though. They think Thug started his own Blood set and started beefing with other crews in Atlanta. YSL was allegedly beefing with the Inglewood Bloods in Atlanta, and that's why they allegedly killed a dude named Donovan, Big Nut, Thomas, and sparked a massive war in the city. A lot of Thug's artists were allegedly affiliated with the Bloods too, including Lil Keed. Lil Keed lived on Cleveland Avenue, which is where YSL started, and Keed allegedly got active in the streets when he was a teenager. Lil Keed tragically died back in 2022, but before he died, he said that YSL wasn't actually a gang. Lil Keed was trying to help Thug and the rest of YSL out, but on the track It's Up, Keed rapped, "With some Crips too, but I'm Big Blood, blat blat, shoot at his roof, YSL the gang, she see this chain, she trying to choose." 21 Savage might have been born in the UK, but he's been in the trenches of Atlanta ever since he was a kid. 21's dad was addicted to drugs, and it wasn't long before 21 started pushing weight in the streets. Back in the day, he wasn't banging any sets and just had some homies in the streets with him. They had their own crew running around in the streets, but then 21 started rocking with the Bloods when he was around 19 years old. By the time 21 started repping the Bloods, he'd already been in the trenches for years. He got kicked out of school after he brought a gun to class, then 21 started selling weed and crack and was robbing people too. After he joined the Bloods, 21 turned up even more in the streets though, and started losing people to the trenches. His little brother Tay-Man got killed first, and 21's homie Larry died too. Tay-Man was the one who influenced 21 to get the tattoo of the knife on his forehead. They were both planning on getting the same tat on their hands, but one day Tay-Man went out and got it on his forehead. So after he died, 21 decided to get the same tat, and it became a big part of his image. Those two were already tough losses, but then 21 watched his homie Johnny die right in front of him. Johnny and 21 were supposed to be selling some weight, but the situation was actually a setup and the other dude tried to rob him. Johnny and 21 both got hit up, then 21 took one of the shooter's guns and started busting back. Luckily, 21 made it out of the streets and into the rap game, but he still reps the Bloods on tracks like Red Ops when he raps, I'm on that slaughter gang shit. Take a nigga bitch. Nigga use a bitch, cause I ran off with your shit. I'm a real right blood, and these niggas counterfeit. You don't pull up on the Ave, pussy boy, you get dipped. When Tekashi 6ix9ine blew up in the rap game, he was repping the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods heavy. The first track he popped off with was Gummo, and he shouted the 9 Treys out when he raps, "Pop these niggas like a willy. Nigga, you a silly nigga. In the hood with them Billy niggas and them Hoover niggas. You run up and they shooting niggas. We ain't hooping, nigga." The 9 Treys were doing all of 6ix9ine's dirt for him too. After 6ix9ine fell out with Trippie Redd, the 9 Treys pulled up on Trippie and put hands on him. Then the 9 Treys almost killed Chief Keef cause 6ix9ine was beefing with him. Everything started when 6ix9ine was beefing with Keef's homie Tato over Tato's girlfriend, Cuban Dog. Tato, Keef, and Trippie Redd all linked up for a track called I Kill People. Then 6ix9ine took Keef's baby mama, Slim Danger, shopping. At first it didn't seem like the beef was that serious, but then Keef went to New York and somebody took a shot at him outside of his hotel room. Nobody knew who pulled the trigger at first, but then 6ix9ine flipped on the 9 Treys and said he paid a dude named Kuda $20K to shoot at Keef. It turns out that 6ix9ine had been paying off the 9 Treys the whole time he was allegedly repping the set. He didn't come up with them at all, and just paid to have him around and make it look like he was certified in the streets. Back in the day, there were even photos of 6ix9ine rocking all blue like he was claiming the Crips. When he blew up, people started questioning him about it because he was now repping the Bloods. 6ix9ine said that he was never really affiliated with any Crips, so it didn't count, but a lot of people saw that as proof that he was only doing it for the clout. The 9 Treys ended up kidnapping 6ix9ine and put hands on him too, and that's when 6ix9ine decided to flip on all of them and help the cops take him down. 6ix9ine was originally facing 47 years in the 9 Trey RICO case, and after he flipped on the gang, 6ix9ine got off easy with just a 2-year sentence. He's not the only dude in the rap game who's affiliated with the 9 Treys though. Jim Jones is a legend in the rap game and started a crew called the Diplomats with his homie Cameron. But before he hopped in the booth, Jones was neck deep in the trenches and has been repping the Bloods since he was a teenager. Jim Jones hopped on the game's track, It's Okay, and shouted out the 9 Treys when he rapped, "So twist your fingers up and bang motherfucker bang. Get your money up. This cane is what we fucking slang. And 9 Trey is what I fucking claim." Jones used to be signed to Jay-Z's Rockefeller record label, and he told All Hip Hop that back in the day, he'd roll deep to the studio with like 20 Bloods. Jones has never been afraid of talking about his affiliation with the Bloods, but that doesn't mean he was cool with 6ix9ine talking about him in court. During 6ix9ine's trial, the prosecutors asked him if Jim Jones was a member of the 9 Treys, and 6ix9ine said yes. Then the prosecutors played a recorded phone call where Jones was talking about 6ix9ine to an OG in the 9 Treys named Mel Murda. During the call, Jones said that 6ix9ine was never a gang member and they're going to have to violate Shorty because Shorty's on some bullshit. After the trial was over, everyone knew that 6ix9ine wasn't the real 9 Trey, and 6ix9ine stopped repping the Bloods completely. But Jim Jones wasn't the only rapper that 6ix9ine said was a Blood. During the trial, 6ix9ine's lawyer asked him if he knew that Cardi B was a Blood, and 6ix9ine said yes. Fans thought Cardi was affiliated with the Bloods ever since she dropped the track Bodak Yellow and rapped, "Say I don't gotta dance, I make money moves. If I see you and I don't speak, that means I don't fuck with you. I'm a boss, you a worker, bitch. I make bloody moves." And then Cardi confirmed it when she did an interview with GQ. Cardi came up in the Bronx, and she said that when she was around 16 years old, she started hanging around a bunch of Bloods. Eventually, they convinced her to join the gang, but Cardi said she wouldn't recommend anyone to start banging the set because it doesn't make you money. Cardi is still technically affiliated with the Bloods, but she's made it clear that she's way more focused on her rap career than putting on for the set. Fetty Wap doesn't rap about the Bloods much, but he's allegedly been repping them since he was a teenager. Fetty Wap came up in New Jersey and hopped off the porch when he was young, but in 2014, he blew up with the track Trap Queen and went platinum. Fetty became one of the hottest new rappers in the game overnight, but he couldn't keep the momentum up and went right back to the trenches. It's not clear if he was still repping the Bloods or not, but in 2021, he got hit with charges for moving weight from the West Coast to New Jersey. According to the cops, Fetty was part of a crew that moved over 100 kilos of cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and crack. They even had a corrections officer from New Jersey in the crew who was helping them move the weight. It looked like Fetty Wap was trying to make a comeback and was set to perform at Rolling Loud in New York. But right before he's about to perform, the cops arrested him for drug trafficking and he's been locked up ever since. Fetty Wap pleaded guilty and got hit with a 6-year sentence, but it looks like he's ready to come home and leave the streets behind for good this time. Pusha T has spent his whole career rapping about selling drugs, but most people have no idea what his actual street ties are. Pusha never set bangs in his music, and a lot of fans thought he's just an independent dealer before he got into the rap game, but he actually has ties to some major shot callers in the Bloods. Back in 2010, Pusha's manager, Anthony Gonzalez, got hit with a 32-year sentence for running a $20 million drug ring in Virginia Beach. According to the cops, Anthony Gonzalez sold over half a ton of cocaine, hundreds of pounds of heroin, and over a ton of marijuana through his club. Gonzalez wasn't moving all that weight by himself though, and the cops say he was linked to an OG from the Bloods named Marlon Reed. Reed, aka Black Marlo, was a major shot caller for the Bounty Hunter Bloods in Virginia. Black Marlo was one of the most violent dudes in the set and had charges for torture and shooting someone in the face. And when the cops finally caught him, he was facing a life sentence. Black Marlo decided to flip on the Bounty Hunter Bloods though and helped the cops solve 5 murders that his crew was involved with. Lil Wayne is one of the most famous Bloods in the rap game, and he's never been afraid to claim the gang. He's raps about the Bloods on tracks like Blood Walk when he said, "My slime brazy. Slime still get a brazy check. Big B, Triple OG, and Rated X. White diamonds, rose gold, red Patek. Counting all the blood money, you done caught me red-handed. I'ma pull up, red truck, niggas call me Red Sanford. I'ma hop out with the toaster, looking for the bread basket. Blood'll leave a nigga bleeding, Sue business." And on the game's track 1 Blood, Wayne raps, "I'm big and back, being bull on the east side of New Orleans where the Bloods at the Beehive." Wayne is from New Orleans though, and back in the day, there weren't a lot of Bloods in the city. That all changed around 2005 though, after Hurricane Katrina destroyed the city and made a lot of people leave. According to reports, dudes like Wayne's homie Eno Capo went to Compton after the hurricane destroyed his home. Then they came back, and Bloods had started popping up in New Orleans. Wayne also has ties to the Bloods through his artist Mac 10 though. Mac 10 is a rapper from Inglewood, California, who has ties to the Queen Street Bloods. He signed a deal with Cash Money Records in the early 2000s, which is around the same time Birdman and Wayne started claiming the Bloods. Some people think Wayne isn't a real Blood because he's from New Orleans, but a ton of Blood rappers are cool with him and obviously haven't pressed him about his gang ties. Before J-Rock was winning Grammy Awards, he was in the streets of LA repping the Bounty Hunter Bloods. Rock got booked on gang crimes twice, but then Top Dawg from Top Dawg Entertainment heard him rapping and signed J-Rock to the label. Rock never stopped banging the set, but he left the trenches behind him and started pushing peace in the streets. He even linked up with his homie Schoolboy Q, who reps the Fido's Hoover Crips, to prove that Bloods and Crips don't have to be ops. J-Rock isn't in the streets catching cases anymore, but he still shouts out the Bloods on tracks like I Just Wanna Party when he raps, "Nigga, I'm from Bounty Hunters, Eastside Lunatic, gangbang, slap a bitch, I ain't with the extras. I ain't got a stunt double, you ain't got no hands, so they might let the gun touch you." The West Coast is full of Blood sets, and Mozzie's been repping them since he was a kid. Mozzie's from a Sacramento hood called Oak Park and reps the Oak Park Bloods. His parents weren't really around when he was growing up, so Mozzie joined the Bloods just to survive. The Oak Park Bloods are one of the oldest gangs in Sacramento. They're actually divided up into 3 different sets though: 33rd Street, 12th Ave, and 4th Ave Bloods, and Mozzie reps 4th Ave. Mozzie got booked at least 3 times on gun charges and evading the police, and eventually he realized he needed to switch up how he was moving or he was just gonna keep going back to jail. Mozzie ended up hopping in the booth around 2010, but he still had both feet in the trenches and got caught up in a rap beef that turned deadly. Mozzie was beefing with another Sacramento rapper named CML Lavish D, and Lavish D's homie Lick pulled up to Oak Park and shot a music video in op territory. Mozzie clapped back with a music video called The Truth, and then just a few hours after the track dropped, his homie Zilla Zoe got shot and killed. According to the cops, Mozzie and Lavish D's beef led to at least 9 shootings, but it slowed down after Mozzie pleaded guilty to a gun charge in 2022 and got hit with a 1-year sentence. It looks like Mozzie's staying out of trouble with the cops, but that doesn't mean he's not claiming the Bloods anymore. In 2024, he dropped a track called Miss You Blood in honor of all his homies in the gang that died and rapped, "I be thinking about you more than often. Thinking about you in that coffin got me sick as fuck. About your name, we gon' live it up. It be days I feel like giving up, nigga. Miss you, blood." YG puts on for the Bloods heavier than pretty much anyone else in the gang. He's from Compton and reps the Treetop Power Rules. And YG is one of the biggest rappers in the industry who started replacing all his C's with B's. YG said he definitely wasn't the first Blood to change the letters, but he was the one who made it mainstream in the rap game. He even has a track called Big and Back Being Bull, where he raps, "I'm just big and back, big and back, big and back being bull. And wifey like Sega, I don't play that bitch. I'm a real Bompton nigga with a motherfucking attitude. Walk up in the spot, you would think that a nigga mad at you." YG also shouted out the Treetop Power Rules on the track Bompton and raps, "All my YGs give it up. Enemies hit 'em up. Westside Treetop Gang. We don't give a fuck." YG's homie Slim 400 also repped the Treetop Power Rules. Slim 400 was born in Germany, but his family moved to Compton when he was a teenager and he linked up with the Bloods. Slim 400 jumped off the porch and got active, and when he was 19, he almost got killed by some Crips while he was in their hood with one of his homies. A year later, Slim 400 met YG and DJ Mustard, and that's when he hopped in the booth with them and started dropping his own projects. Slim 400 was on his way up in the rap game, but he never stayed too far from the streets, and in 2019, someone pulled up and shot him 9 times when he was visiting some family in Compton. Slim survived the shooting and spent 2 weeks in the hospital recovering, but unfortunately, that wasn't the last time the ops pulled up on him. 2 years later in 2021, a dude named Michael Terry caught Slim 400 leaving his house in Inglewood and killed him. YG and Slim 400 aren't the only dudes in the game who rep the treetop power rules though. DJ Quick came up in Compton and started DJing in the 8th grade. He was going around all over LA playing at parties, but the gangs in the city were always causing problems and breaking up the parties, and that's why Quick ended up joining the Bloods. Quick found out he wasn't really ready for the street life though. After somebody upped the strap in his face, Quick said he thought gangbanging was bullshit. He told Rhyme magazine, joining the gang treetop power rule, that was the dumbest shit. Cypress Hill are legends in the West Coast rap game, but a lot of fans have no idea how heavy Be Real street ties are. Be Real is from the east side of South LA and started repping the Bloods even though he's Latino and not black. Back in the day, he was repping the neighborhood family Bloods, but now the neighborhood family are clicked up with the Mad Swan Bloods and go by the family Swan Bloods. The violence in LA was crazy when Be Real was coming up, and when he was 17 years old, he got shot by the ops and almost died when a bullet punctured his lung. Eventually, Be Real met his homies Sen Dog and Mellow Man Ace and started rapping about the streets instead of staying in them. Be Real said, leaving the trenches behind is what saved his life, cause a lot of his homies from back then ended up dead or in jail, but he never actually put his blood flag down. A lot of people think the Power Rule Bloods are only on the West Coast, but Waka Flocka Flame is one of the biggest Power Rule rappers in the game, and he came up in New York and Atlanta. Waka grew up in South Jamaica, Queens, New York, but moved with his family to Atlanta when he was about 9 years old. His mom, Deb, worked in the music industry and used to be Gucci Mane's manager, which is how Gucci and Waka got close. Waka blew up fast when he linked up with Gucci Mane and dropped 6 projects in the same year, but he was still in the streets and almost died before he could hit the mainstream. In 2010, Waka was at a car wash in an op neighborhood in Atlanta when someone walked up and put a gun in his face. Waka fought back, and that's when the dude let off a shot and hit Waka in the arm. The bullet didn't stop there though. It went down his side, through his lung, then came out of his back and almost killed him. After that situation, Waka decided to focus more on rap instead of hustling in the streets, but he still reps the Bloods on tracks like Workin' when he rapped, "Pussy ass nigga, you ain't never jug. I'm a real Power Rule. Ask Big Shug. I'm a real trapper. Ask Victor Hill. For the thrill, I pop a pill, shoot at the ops to catch a kill. I'm Waka Flocka, nigga. Kill a family member. Shawty El Chapo, nigga." Repping the Bloods helped get one of Waka's homies a life sentence though. Rod Diggs is a rapper from Brooklyn who linked up with Waka on the track Live by the Gun, and he was allegedly a shot caller in a Blood set called the Murderous Mad Dogs. Rod Diggs went to prison for 3 murders, racketeering, and drug dealing, and when the trial was over, the judge hit him with 3 life sentences plus 105 years in prison. Rod Diggs told the judge he could give him 10 life sentences since he could only die 1 time. So then the judge changed the ruling and handed down 12 life sentences plus the 105 years. Rod Diggs tried to appeal the conviction, but then the prosecutors brought in his lyrics from Live by the Gun when Rod Diggs rapped, "Nigga shot me 5 times, 2 days later, the nigga died. Nigga shooting at the 5 is committing a suicide. I'm a murderous mad dog. That's the acronym. MMD. You front on me, a nigga clapping them. I'm the big homie. Act like you don't know me. Put in my own work, but niggas will kill for me." Repping your set might get you some clout in the rap game, but it also helped keep Rod Diggs in prison for the rest of his life. Young M.A. blew up off the track. Ooh, it was playing in clubs all over the place. But a lot of people didn't even notice that Young M.A. was repping the Bloods on the track when she rapped, "Disrespect the life, that's a no-no. All my niggas dressed in that rojo. I ride for my guys, that's the bro code." Then on the track Off the Yak, Young M.A. shouted out the Bloods again and rapped, "The queen of my city, I am a big deal. It's red life for life, but I fuck with the rips still. Glock on my hip still." Red Life is allegedly the Blood set that Young M.A. reps, but in an interview with Boombox, she claimed that it was just a movement and not a gang. Young M.A.'s dad was locked up when she was only a year old and spent 10 years behind bars. She was really close to her brother, Kenneth Ramos, but in 2009, Kenneth was stabbed to death by his own homies. Her brother's death sent Young M.A. into a crazy depression, and after that, she started getting deeper into the streets. Young M.A. admitted she's been affiliated with the Bloods though, and it seems like she just doesn't want to talk about it too much in case her street ties get her jammed up with the cops. When it comes to repping the Bloods, nobody in the industry does it more than the Game. The Game came up in Compton on Santana Block, which is run by Crips. Both of his parents repped the Crips too, but the Game ended up joining the Cedar Block Power Rules instead. The Game's older half-brother, Big Face 100, was a high-ranking member of the Power Rules, so Game thought it was the best move to rock with him. The Game hopped off the porch and started selling weed, and that's how he ended up losing his basketball scholarship to play at Washington State. After that, the Game put both feet in the trenches and it almost killed him. When he was 21, the ops caught Game at his stash spot and shot him. It turned out to be the biggest moment of his life though, because that's when the Game decided to jump in the booth. While he was in the hospital recovering from the gunshots, Game told his brother to bring him every classic rap album so he could study them all and figure out how to be a rapper. Game dropped his first mixtape when he came home, and just a few months later, he ended up getting signed by Dr. Dre. After that, Game turned into one of the hottest rappers in the industry and was putting on for the Bloods in basically every verse. He even dropped an anthem for the song called Red Nation and raps, "Made the letter B more famous than a Red Sox fitted, but that was suicide. I don't live in Judas' eyes. Half of these rappers weren't trapping when I was chopping to do or die. And like it's aftermath for life, and all I do is ride. Before I turn on him, I kill Satan and stick my red flag in the ground. It's Red Nation." The Bloods are all over the rap game, but there's just as many Crip rappers banging their sets too. Pop Smoke introduced most fans to the Wolves. The Wolves used to be called Wave Gang, and they've been around Brooklyn for years. It's not just one gang though. The Wolves are a collective of a bunch of different sets, including Bloods and Crips. Pop Smoke repped the Wolves heavy, but he was also affiliated with the 823 G-Stone Crips. And on the track Armed and Dangerous, Pop raps, "6 shots, clip 'em. I bet I emptied the clip. Pop Smoke on ape shit, but everybody know I'm Crip." The Wolves have beef with the Chos, and on the track Meet the Woo, Pop took shots at the ops and rapped, "Put that boy head on the shoulders, swerving, give him 2 shots if he's twirling, burn him. I promise it's gonna be a murder. If I catch him, I hurt him. Sliding, I murk him." And Pop Smoke wasn't just rapping about the streets, he was really in them before he blew up in the game. The cops even tried to get Pop to flip on some other 823 G-Stone Crips right before he died, cause Pop was allegedly at the scene when some G-Stone shot someone in 2019. Pop wasn't gonna work with the cops though, so they hit him with a Fed case to turn the pressure up on him. The FBI booked him at JFK Airport and asked Pop about 2 different shootings, but Pop still wouldn't give up any info. Pop Smoke tragically got killed right after that, but his homie Fabio Foreign is still repping the Wolves. Fabio was always tight with the Crips from GS9, and back in the day, Fabio and his homies made their own crew called 800 Foreign Side. Fabio was affiliated with the Wolves too, and the first time he blew up was for dissing their ops in the Blicky Gang. Blicky Gang is mostly gangster disciples who were also clicked up with the Chos. And on the track Blicky in the Box, Fabio raps, "Big 9 on the set. All that GDK shit is fully active, nigga." Fabio also shouted the Crips out on the track Big Drip and raps, "Big Drip, I fell in love with a lit bitch. Crip shit, she wanna suck on a lit dick." A lot of people think of the East Coast when they're talking about Crip rappers, but Lil Loda was repping the Crips heavy down in Dallas, Texas. He joined the Rollin' 60s Crips and started getting into shootouts in the street. And one time, he almost caught a bullet to the face, but he put his hand up and blocked it just in time. Lil Loda didn't even go to the hospital after he got shot. Instead, he went to his homie's house and had his homie's mom dig the bullet out of his hand. Eventually, Lil Loda decided to hop in the booth, but he was always putting on for the Crips there too, like on the track Gang Unit when he raps, "I'm Lil Loaded, so these niggas know I'm crippin'. I got some partners Bloods, so I know them niggas drippin', but we all still the same. We got Glocks with extensions, and if I call my Crip niggas, then I know they down the slide. 223s, F&Ns, pull up with that 5. I'm a real ass shooter, nigga, I don't wanna drive." Lil Loda was on his way up in the game, but then he accidentally killed his own homie while they were shooting the music video. The cops hit him with a manslaughter charge over the situation, but then Lil Loda tragically took his own life before the case could be solved. Lil Loaded isn't the only Rollin' 60 who died too soon though. Nipsey Hussle was the most legendary Rollin' 60 Crip in the rap game. The Rollin' 60s are one of the biggest sets in LA, and they've been around since the 70s. Nipsey joined the gang when he was 14 and got active from the jump. And when Nipsey started dropping music, he always put on for the set, like on the track Blue Laces when he rapped, "Cold shit, my whole clique notorious. You heard of us, 6 souls is murderers. You still serving clucks, jealous nigga, you broke as fuck. And I got Slauson on my back, Ed Hardy on my hip, weight of the world on my shoulders, gold rollie on my wrist, neighborhood chucks, blue checkerboard tint." Nipsey eventually left the street life behind and focused on giving back to the community, but he never stopped repping the 60s. He opened up his Marathon clothing shop in Rolling 60 territory and wanted to prove that being a Crip didn't mean you have to be selling drugs or shooting people. But then in 2019, Nipsey got shot and killed right outside of his shop by a dude from the area named Shitty Cuz. Nipsey and Shitty Cuz grew up together in the 60s, but there are rumors going around that Shitty Cuz had snitched. When Shitty Cuz tried to come hang around the store, Nip told him he had to get that sorted out before he could come back around. Shitty Cuz got so heated at Nipsey for calling him a snitch in front of everyone that he left, then came back with a gun and shot Nipsey. Nipsey ended up dying, and Shitty Cuz was sentenced to 60 years for the murder. The Rolling 60s have had a few huge artists in the game, but the crew that everybody heard about first were the Rolling 20s from Long Beach. Snoop Dogg isn't just a legend in the rap game, he's also the most famous Crip in the world. Snoop started repping the Rolling 20s when he was a teenager and started going in and out of jail. Snoop's cousin Nate Dogg and his homie Warren G repped the Rolling 20s too, but all three of them wanted to make money in the rap game and not just the streets. They were all putting in work in the booth, but while Snoop was working on his first album, he got caught up in a murder case and all the headlines were about his gang ties. Snoop and his homies had gotten into an argument with a rival gang member. Snoop's bodyguard ended up shooting the dude, and both him and Snoop were arrested for the murder. But Snoop hired a great lawyer, and they both ended up beating the charge. Snoop beat the case, and that's when he stopped rapping about the streets. Snoop said he just wanted to spread positivity instead, but that didn't mean he was done repping the Crips. Snoop was on for the set all the time, and even Crip walked at the Super Bowl. And back in 2017, he dropped the track Make America Crip Again and rapped, "The president say he wants to make America great again. Fuck that shit. We gonna make America Crip again, cuz. And this still America with 3 Ks. Believe that shit. The world is yours, my nigga, so go and see that bitch. Every chance you get, hit that lick and get that shit. Put your name down and your thing down. We gonna make America Crip again." Snoop has also helped a lot of other Crips in the rap game. Snoop reps the Rolling 20s, but he's cool with dudes from a ton of different Crip sets. Glasses Malone came up in Watts, repping the 7th Street Watts Crips, and he linked up with Snoop for the track East Sidin' and rapped, "Yeah, the flag navy blue, the Lokes black. See the Bloods getting love, where the Lokes at? About time that somebody brought the Lokes back. It's like our swag got stole, this the low jack." Some of Snoop's family repped the Rolling 20s too. His cousin Daz Dillinger rocked the same set, and Daz linked up with Snoop back when Snoop was on Death Row Records. A lot of people associate Death Row with the Bloods because Suge Knight and Tupac were both Bloods, but Death Row actually had a lot of Crips on the label too. Corrupt repped the Rolling 60s and linked up with Daz Dillinger on Death Row and started a group called the Dog Pound. Daz and Snoop both ended up leaving Death Row, but they both still repped the Crips hard, and on the track It's Okay, Daz rapped, "Draped in blue, notorious gangster crew. RIP for niggas who don't stay true. Deep down in the crevices, see, them checks better win. Dwelling in the land of the gangbang profession. I'm legendary. Yes, yes, a West Coaster. Throwing up 2 C's with 2 guns in my holster." Before Eazy-E created NWA and changed the whole rap game, he was in the streets repping Kelly Park Crips in Compton. Eazy dropped out of school and started moving weight, and by the time he was 22, he had allegedly made over 250K in the trenches. Eazy might have stayed in the streets and never hopped in the booth, but then his cousin got shot and killed, and Eazy realized he needed to get his money up in a different way. He started rapping in his parents' garage, and that's where he started Ruthless Records. Eazy put a lot of other Crips onto the rap game too. His homies BG Knockout and Gangsta Dresta both repped the Nutty Block Compton Crips, and the 3 of them linked up in the studio for the track Real Motherfucking G's. Eazy and Snoop Dogg were both Crips, but after Eazy and Dr. Dre fell out and Dre started working with Snoop, Eazy took shots at both of them on the track and rapped, "Motherfuck Dre, motherfuck Snoop, motherfuck Death Row, yo, and here comes my left blow." BG Knockout called Dre and Snoop out too and rapped, "Approach me like you hard, motherfucker, I'ma bank ya, shank ya, with my fucking shank if I have to. Dr. Dre and Snoop Doggy Dogg are fucking actors, pranksters, studio gangsters, busters, but this time you're dealing with some real motherfuckers." BG Knockout was really living what he rapped about, and a few years later, he got hit with a 10-year sentence for attempted murder. A lot of people think Eazy-E repped Neighborhood Crip instead of Kelly Park back in the day, but his son Lil Eazy-E said that back in the day, they weren't really separated like they are now.
Back in that time, it was more unity.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, and everybody knows you can go to a lot of Kelly Parks and pull up their sleeve and you're gonna see Neighborhood on them.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? Or NH, you know, KP, you know, KP and H, you feel what I'm saying? So it was more unity.
According to Lil Eazy, they stayed in a spot in between Kelly Park and Neighborhood territory, but his dad was cool with everybody, and a lot of dudes rep both sets. There are a lot of different neighborhood Crip sets though, and it's not clear which one Eazy-E was cool with. Spider Loc is a rapper who reps the 9-7 East Coast neighborhood Crips, and on the track I'm a Crip, he rapped, "Before this rap fame, my name's been ringing. It's like chitty chitty 9 South neighborhood, East Side EC, land of no pity. Known for almost falling off, but I bounced back ballin'." Spider Loc came up around the same time as Eazy-E, but they probably wouldn't have been cool because Spider Loc was rocking with Suge Knight and Death Row Records. He ended up leaving Death Row though and linked up with Suge's op 50 Cent. Spider Loc was also cool with dudes from the Rollin' 30s Harlem Crips like Gorilla Black. Gorilla Black was born in Chicago but moved to Compton and started repping the Crips. He raps about coming up in Compton on the track Gorilla City and raps, "When I'm in Gorilla City and I got my killers with me and khakis and chucks, gats untucked. Don't fuck around and get your ass sprayed up." Gorilla Black was making waves in the rap game and putting on for the Crips, but then everything fell apart when he caught a 9-year sentence for credit card fraud. When Blueface blew up with the track Tatiana, everyone knew from the jump that he was a Crip just from his name. Blueface reps the Schoolyard Crips and even named his first project Famous Crip. Tatiana was the track that really put him on the map, but before that dropped, Blueface went viral with the track Respect My Crippin' and raps, "Give a fuck if he like it, but he gon' respect this crippin'. Yeah, alright, it's all fun and games till a nigga trippin'. Mop the floor, hide the west side just to catch him slippin'." And on the track Bleed It, Blueface raps about the Crips again and said, "Glock with a dick on my lap, I'm in traffic. My pistol bloated, ready to unload it. Pop up least expected, like a notice. Famous Crip, everywhere I go, people notice." Blueface reps the Crips harder than any other new rapper in the game, but some OGs think he's giving the gang a bad name. Ever since he blew up, Blueface has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons and crashing out like crazy. And now he's serving a 4-year sentence over an assault case. Coolio is famous for his track Gangsta's Paradise, where he raps about how being in the streets only leads to dying. But before Coolio started rapping, he was allegedly affiliated with the Mona Park Compton Crips. Coolio moved to Compton when he was 8 years old and allegedly got active in the streets early. The first time he got arrested was for bringing a weapon to school, and he also got booked for robbery. Then in the 80s, Coolio got addicted to crack cocaine and almost died in the trenches, but then he turned it all around and trained to be a firefighter. After that, Coolio hopped in the booth and tried to warn other people about getting into the streets. It seems like Coolio didn't want to talk about his past with the Crips much though, and he never really raps about them either. A lot of Crip rappers have spent time on the inside, but 03 Greedo almost caught 300 years in prison. Greedo came up in Watts and reps the Grape Street Crips. The Grape Street Crips are one of the oldest gangs in LA and have been around since the 70s. They're based in the Jordan Downs housing projects, which is where the movie Menace to Society was filmed. Greedo told Vice that when he moved to Grape Street territory, he had to prove himself in the trenches, and Greedo became one of the most active young dudes in the set. He got kicked out of school for fighting and bringing guns. Then Greedo's mom kicked him out, and he was homeless and sleeping on park benches. That's when Greedo really started robbing and moving weight just to support himself and ended up catching a bunch of cases for burglary and guns. He started rapping when he was locked up, and Greedo was building some major buzz on his name with his Purple Summer mixtapes. Greedo even started his own record label, but he still had both feet in the trenches and got pulled over with 4 pounds of meth and 2 stolen pistols in his whip. Greedo was originally facing 300 years in prison, but luckily he was able to get a plea deal. The judge still hit him with a 20-year sentence, but Greedo kept his head down and stayed out of trouble on the inside. And in 2023, he came home early and hopped right back in the booth.